Orgeron took the podium on Monday at SEC Media Days about 10 years after he did so for the Ole Miss Rebels, and he says he's a much different coach than he was his first stay in the SEC. We bring in Billy Gomilla from And the Valley Shook, LSU's platform for SB Nation. So, Billy, we appreciate you jumping back on. It's been a while. How you been?
Pretty good, pretty good. Happy to be back on.
Yeah, so Coach O hit the podium, always very stout, very firm in his convictions, and very complimentary of his football team and the student athletes that they are and the talent that he has. He talked up recruiting. He talked up challenging Alabama. What did you really take away that wasn't just coach speak that maybe we could read into a little bit?
Oh, I don't think there's much that you could read into. I think ultimately this is a team that has to prove it on the field. And, you know, as much as confident as I am in Coach O and what he's building here, I do understand that for a lot of people, their last impression of him was Ole Miss 10 years ago, and he's got to kind of get away from that a little bit. But I do believe that he will. You know, I do like that he's very kind of upfront with a lot of the injury talk, especially about a player like Arden Key, who, you know, I got a lot of panic texts when, oh, he may not be ready for the start of camp. Oh, is he going to play after sitting out the spring? And then the news about the shoulder surgery and all those kind of things. And, you know, I'm pretty confident and been assured by a number of different sources that he'll be good to go by that first week and ultimately be ready to play this season, even if he's slowed a little bit early on. I did like hearing that Danny Etling is close to being 100% after his little back procedure, and just hearing a lot of the stories from the players there about how they've noticed the difference in him throwing the ball in workouts and things like that, and just how much pain he was really playing in last year, which that was I was already fairly confident in Etling coming into this year, at least in terms of being a decent quarterback, and that kind of makes me a little confident that maybe his ceiling is a little higher than we initially thought.
Yeah, because that's the knock. He's going to give you a workmanlike effort. He's going to do his job. He's going to prepare. He's going to maximize his ability, but he can't make the hash marked sideline throw on the other side. He's not going to tear apart a defense down in terms of fitting throws into tight windows, and he's obviously not going to beat a team with his legs, especially in that conference. But we shall see if he's a better player and has a little bit more to give than maybe we gave him credit for. Matt Canada's name has been thrown all over the place because your fan base is just waiting for an explosion on offense, and he's the latest savior. Cam Cameron was the one before that, but there's some talk about Matt Canada and just what is he going to do different that's going to make this LSU offense maximize its talent.
Well, I think based off of the spring that there's still some unknown there, because he himself has been very open about, you know, he wants to gear his offense around what he thinks his players do well, which is really refreshing. I do think that Cam Cameron was kind of trying to fit the players to the offense instead of the other way around, and didn't always focus on the best aspects of everybody that he had. You know, a lot of coaches, I think this is more common than we think, sometimes try to dwell on what players can't do instead of what they can. And I do think Matt Canada seems to have that kind of utilitarian approach. And I don't think what we see is going to be radically different stylistically. I do think it's going to be a lot more effective. I think having a veteran quarterback, having a great running back in Darius Geis, and having a group of receivers that has a lot to prove. I do think you have that number one guy in DJ Shark and guys around him who are just ready to step in and be players.
I saw Darius Geis interviewed a few times, and by the time my eyes adjusted to the glare and the bright colors, it was a very impressive wardrobe selection by him. But after that, in listening to the kid, he's very impressive from the standpoint he's very comfortable, comfortable in front of a microphone, and had a lot of good things to say about being a leader, being very excited about what this team has, and being ready just to explode and lay it all out there. So his borderline confidence arrogance ratio seems to be, at least for me, where you would like to see it from a player. Very respectful, but very sure of himself and ready to go. So starting with Geis, and based on anything else you heard, what caught your ear this week from the players?
Well, I expected Darius Geis to go there and really have a good week. He's just great at these kind of events. He's got a big personality. He's very comfortable talking to people. He's made for an event like SEC Media Days, and he knew to dress up, all those kind of things, as a way to stand out and be ready. He's a guy who's really passionate about the game, works really hard, great in the weight room, great student of the game, all those kind of things, and he's very much ready to step out of Leonard Fournette's shadow. And you could argue that he did that last year. And that was something that was big to him, even as a recruit. He you could see through his recruitment, through interviews and social media, etc., that he kind of felt like he was a little bit in Leonard Fournette's shadow a bit, coming up right behind him, and Fournette just being this legend for so long. Whereas Geis, even though he did go to a really prestigious Catholic school here in Baton Rouge that's had a lot of success and a lot of great players, he had, it was an adjustment for him to go from having kind of a rough background to being in that system, in that disciplined system at Catholic High. But I think you're seeing the fruits of that now. He's kind of really primed to be everything that LSU needs him to be this year. And I'd be stunned if he didn't have a great year.
In addition to Auburn, LSU considered the one team that could possibly challenge Alabama, and that includes the other division in trying to derail the Crimson Tide toward another SEC championship this season. We'll see what they have, starting, of course, against a pretty formidable opponent in BYU in just about 7 weeks. All right, Billy Gomilla helping us sort out what was stated at the podium and elsewhere in Hoover, Alabama this week at SEC Media Days. Billy, we always appreciate the time.
Anytime, man.